Hello, everyone. In this micro lecture, I will go over on how to find standard normal values using the graphing calculator, specifically a TI-83. So we will be focusing on two learning outcomes. One has to do with the normal distribution, and the other one how to use graphing calculators to find values of the normal distribution. Last class, we already went over on how to find probabilities using the standard normal table, but now I will give you a second choice using the calculator. To use the calculator, you need to have a lower bound and an upper bound. And the lower bound obviously will be the smallest number, the upper bound will be the biggest number. So now if we use the same terminology that I use when using the table, let's say that you want to find this area. This is what I call the green area. So this is going to be called the lower bound. And if this keeps going forever, so this will be the upper bound. So the upper bound will be infinity, but you cannot really put infinity in the calculator. So whenever it's infinity, we're going to use the number 1000. If you are going to the left side, and let's say you wanted to find the yellow area, which is the one we got from the table, then in that case, now this will be the upper bound, and the lower bound will be now minus infinity. But minus infinity, you cannot also plug in the calculator, so we'll just go with minus 1000, and this should do the job. In order to use the calculator, you have to go to the following keys, and I will demonstrate this in a second. So you'll have to go to second, and then go to distributions, which is under VARS. And then you're going to look for the one that says normal CDF. Then you're going to enter the lower bound first, then the upper bound. There is no need to add anything else because these are standard values. Remember that a standard means the mu is equals to 0 and the sigma is equals to 1. All right, so let's try one example. So the first thing you should always want to do is shade the area you're trying to find. So here we have 0, 2.21 is somewhere here. This represents what I used to call the green area, which is this part. So therefore, you can see the 2.1 is going to be the lower bound, and the upper bound is going to be 1000, which remember it represents infinity. Therefore, you want to use a calculator, you will have to go first to second. I will demonstrate this in a second. And then go to variables. And then you're going to select number 3, which is normal CDF. And then you're going to put the lower bound first, which will be 2.21. And then the upper bound, which will be 1000. So first, so the first thing you have to do is go to second, then go to variables, then make sure you pick normal CDF, make sure you pick the CDF, and then enter the lower bound, which is 2.21, comma, the upper bound, which is 1000, and then enter, and that's the answer. So therefore, in this particular case, the solution is 0.1355, 0.1355. So it's a good practice to random this to 4 places. It should be 1, 3, and then 6. So that's the solution. So now, in a similar way, if you wanted to find the answer to the second question, which I believe the question was the probability that C is less than 2.21. So in this case, you will now want the yellow area, which is this. So now the lower bound will be minus infinity, which you will have to use minus 1000. Then the upper bound will be 2.21. The only thing you have to be careful when you follow the instructions are going to be exactly the same instructions, is that this will be a normal CDF when you get to this point. And for the minus sign, use the minus sign in parentheses. So do not use this minus sign. Use the one in parentheses, which is somewhere here in the calculator. So you will put minus 1000, that will be the lower bound, and then the upper bound will be 2.21. And that will give you the exact solution or correct solution, which in this case is 0.9864. And that's it.